Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
I'm trying to hook up an access control system. I'm not a professional. I'm trying to do this on my own. I have a Locknetics 510 power supply and a linear access control module or brain. And I'm trying to figure out from my output of my linear system where the wires hook to in the Locknetics power supply to power the magnetic locks. Are you familiar with how all that works?
Well, yes, but you're going to want to talk to them. The 510 is just, is going to power the lock. You're going to have to, right. What is the linear item?
It's an E3.
But it's some sort of a switch.
Access control system, yes. It's sort of the brain that it takes your inputs and does your outputs.
But you're powering that, but what is, you've got your power supply, you've got your access control system, you've got your load, which is your lock, you have your conductor, and then your switch. So what's the switch?
Well, I'm assuming there's an output in the access control system. It's labeled an output, and it says it goes to the DC output device, which would be the power supply. And so I was trying to figure out where those wires actually connect, because in the power supply you'd have a positive and negative going to the mag lock, right?
Well, I think that output's supposed to go to the load. The access control. Load. What's the lock on the door?
A magnetic lock.
Yeah, so that access control, that output's going to go to the mag lock.
It's going to go to the lock, not to the power supply.
Well, your access control has to get power from somewhere, as does your mag lock, but the communication, of your whatever is telling your access control to open that circuit to the mag lock, whatever that input is, or I shouldn't say input, whatever that is governing the access control to open that circuit would be governing that. But I think you got to go access control to the mag lock, but then something's got to tell the access control that you want to unlock that mag lock.
Right. I was assuming he told the power supply and it would just interrupt the power, but maybe it doesn't happen there. Maybe it happens at the mag lock, and the mag lock does that.
Yeah. The access control is doing it. There's a relay and it's opening the circuit, so the power drops.
So the power drops up the mag lock, not at the power supply necessarily.
That's exactly correct. And the access control is what's interrupting the power to the mag lock.
Okay.
Yeah, the power supply just gets to hang out. You're going to run wires from it to your material that needs power, which in this case I think is only going to be your mag lock. Because your access control is going to have its own power coming in.
Correct.
But there's a component to this that's not that we're not discussing. What's telling the access control to let go?
Well, it has. I've wired the inputs, either a reader or a request to exit.
Cool.
It's receiving that information, and then on the computer, board or whatever, there's an output, and two wires go from that output to something. I thought it goes to the power supply, but it sounds like maybe it actually goes up to the mag lock, and the mag lock then decides to disconnect or turn off the power.
Yeah, I see how you could do that. You could run that output to the power supply, provided that you were running it to the emergency interface relay that would cut the power to the power supply. And actually... no, I don't think you'd want that. Because that would, like if you had a fire alarm panel, you would have an output going to, then maybe or maybe not. I would think that you're going to need something telling the power supply to cut the power, but your fire alarm panel would likely do that.
Yes, I'll have to install that too. Yes, and I see the ports in the power supply for communication with the fire panel.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I needed another, like you said, a relay board that tells this to shut the power down. And if so, I mean, do I have to order a dual control module board in order to do 2 doors, or as these come, they'll handle 2 doors as they are? I don't know if I asked that question correctly. Sorry.
Well, the 510 is not going to handle. You need a different power supply if you want to do multiple zones.
Well, can I do 2 doors? My understanding it would handle 2 doors per power supply. I don't know if that's true or not.
I believe that it is, because the amperage of what your circuits are going to be will not exceed what the power supply, what the amperage of your circuits multiplied by 1.5 won't exceed what the power supply can put out.
Okay.
I don't recall that. What is it? A 2 amp is the Locknetics? Where did you get the Locknetics 510 from?
Well, from a friend of mine works at the local college, and they upgraded their system, and they were going to throw this system away, which is an eMerge system, and they had these power supply boxes, 3 of them, and so he gave them to me.
Yeah, those are long discontinued.
Yeah.
So at 24 volts, you'll be able to handle 2 amps. I mean, your maglock, I don't know, maybe 400 milliamps.
Yeah.
So you're going to easily handle it off of a 510.
Okay. All right. Well. Okay. Well, so I'm just trying to figure this out, but I do appreciate your time.
I think your access control is wired to the maglock to tell it to let go.
Well,
okay.
It could be. It could be. I haven't done that part yet. I wasn't sure whether to go to the power supply or go back to the maglock.
I think your fire alarm panel should go to the power supply.
Okay.
I think your access control should go to the maglock, because that's the switch, and that will that'll handle the same functionality, and that way you preserve your interruption from a fire event as well. Unless you're going to run your access control, I wouldn't do that. So your fire panel is going to go to the EIR input on the 510, and then your access control will communicate to the maglock.
Okay.
What is the rest of the hardware? You've got a magnetic lock. You said reader or a Rex, but what exactly is going to be on the opening?
Well, excuse me. At each door there is a reader and a Rex.
On the outside, and a Rex. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you familiar with the code as to what else you're going to need on that door?
No, I guess not.
Okay, and I'm not the code police, but you'll want to look that up. You're going to need, within 60 inch of the opening, you're going to need a push to exit button that will be powered independently or outside of the circuit, as will your Rex. Your sensor on the inside is going to have to be not wired in, so that any power loss is going to unlock that door. So code would tell you need a push to exit button within 60 inch of the opening, and then your sensor's got to be wired outside of all of that, so that it drops in the event.
Yeah, I have a push button at every door, but the Rex is actually a automatic sensor. Is that what your sounds like?
Yeah, Rex could be a sensor on the inside, like a BEA Eagle or a Bosch, blah blah blah. All kinds of stuff could be a Rex on the inside, as well as a micro switch and an exit device.
So a push button, I have to have both, is what you're saying. I can't just have the push button request to exit.
You have to have the push button, and then your request to exit. Is it a sensor on the inside?
No, I just was using the push button.
Oh, no. Well, I don't know if we're okay here. Is this a path of emergency egress?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to need an exit device. You're going to need a request to exit bar. You're going to need a touch bar that will act as a Rex. You're going to need the push button in addition to that. So to be code compliant, you're going to need what's on the door now? Just like a push bar, like a manual tubular piece of architectural metal?
Just a door handle.
Okay, so that's got to go. If this is a path of emergency egress, what's the occupancy quantity?
20.
Okay, so you're not going to require emergency exits by code. So you're fine there. Let's back up. I was automatically assuming this was going to be beyond what NFP or even BOCA would require, or the ICC, or the IBC, I meant to say. So you're going to need the push button. And now when you go up and grab the lever handle, how is it telling the maglock to let go? You got a two-hand operation?
Well, yeah, you would hit the push button, request exit, which is right next to the door. Hit that, and then turn the door handle and open it.
Okay, you got some sort of time delay then happening, I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, is that obviously you're not the code police, so I understand, but is that sort of what would be needed?
Well, you've got to have the push button in case the hardware fails, in case your maglock can't get you done. Not requiring emergency egress hardware, I would think that storeroom lock is going to be just fine. Yeah, I mean, I can't pick it apart any further than this. I think we've overly complicated it. I think it goes back to access control to the maglock.
Good.
Or access control through the push button to the maglock.
Yeah, okay.
So that you can open that circuit, and it's all normally open.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working in a normally closed situation until you activate something, either the push button or the reader, or the fire alarm will then trip the system. So one of those three.
Yeah, I think normally, you want it to fail unlocked. Well, it's going to fail unlocked because it's a maglock. But you still have control. You still have security over the door because you've got a mechanical lock on it.
True.
So everything needs to be wired as normally open so that when power is cut, that circuit fails open.
Okay. So I guess I was misunderstanding that then, because I was thinking normally closed, which means it's normally energized until you disrupt it, because I want it locked during the day. So am I thinking about that backwards?
Yes, sir.
Really? Wow. Okay.
So the condition of the hardware when you take it out of the box would be normally open or normally closed. A magnetic lock, because a magnetic lock on the absence of power, that's unlocked. So that means the circuit's open. Now imagine in your mind's eye an electric strike, or just an electric strike. You can have those fail safe or fail secure. If your strike when you take it out of the box is automatically locked, you could run that normally closed where you're energizing it all the time, and that when the power is cut, it's locked. But I think you want normally open because your condition is such that when that hardware that you are using specifically as it being a magnetic lock, which you're going to power continuously until the power is cut, that would definitely be normally open.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for the information. And,
I did not help you. I made this worse. Although I read a beautiful quote by a genius locksmith. He basically said something like, he says, you were confused when you started this, but if anything, you're still confused, but you're confused about more important things now. So it's a negative way of saying that the process has been beneficial. I just finished his book for the second time, and it's like you walk away shaking your head like, what did I just read?
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay, so in conclusion, I would get the linear wiring diagram, and that's going to tell you what to do. Everything else is going to fall in place. Because to the access control, it don't care what kind of lock it is. And listen, put it normally closed. If it doesn't give you the operation you like, switch to where that one wire goes. So,
right.
Yes,
right.
sir.
Okay, thank you again.
And to you. Bye-bye.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.